0344 499 1000. We're going to go to Cardiff now and talk to an old friend of mine and someone who covers major stories out there, one of the chief writers of the Glamorgan Star, who has his finger on the pulse of stories in Cardiff and in darts and snooker. We say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to Marcus Stead. Morning to you.
Good morning, Johnny. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Hanukkah.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. It's nice to see you, nice to speak to you. Is that a Christmas jumper you've got on there?
The nearest I've got to one. I looked through my drawer last night thinking what to wear. I haven't got one of those Noel Edmonds in the 1980s ones, but this is what I wear, you know, to the works Christmas do, that sort of thing. It's as good as it gets, I'm afraid.
Very, very placid indeed. Well done, Marcus. Don't adjust your TV sets. You don't need to. Marcus, when we spoke last week and when we were teeing this up, you talked about some of the immigration problems that came into Cardiff and that buildings were being used without the consent of locals and that the local population was concerned about rising crime in the area.
Yes, Johnny, this is something that Talk, the home of common sense, has been pushing for several weeks now, particularly with Kevin O'Sullivan and Isabel Oakeshott. Well, Isabel, Talk's international editor, came down to Cardiff Bay. And what's happened is there's what the council's describing as a migrant village has been built on an old gasworks near the IKEA site. Now, the reason I'm particularly interested in this, Johnny, is it's about a 5-minute walk from where I am right now. So I can provide quite a good insight into what the realities of the situation are. Now, the situation is this. The Cardiff Council used emergency powers during the pandemic to build what look like, well, first of all, there's 2 of them which look like student accommodation blocks, fairly high rise. And then there's several hundred what look like sort of holiday chalet prefab sort of places, a caravan park, but not by the sea, if you know what I mean. And what's happened is that the tower blocks have been filled with people. A lot of the chalets have not. And when Isabel went down there, she rightly saw that in the car parks and so forth, these are cars. There were Jaguars, Mercedes, BMWs. These are not people who are badly off. And there are big, big questions as to who is exactly there. And Isabel sent Cardiff Council a list of questions she wanted answering. And they sent her a very sort of snide, woke, long statement. Kevin read it out in full on his show. I've got it in front of me now. It'd take me too long to read the whole thing out now. But it was going on about, we are a proud multicultural city. Well, I believe in multiracialism, but multiculturalism is something different where, you know, people, different races, different faiths, no problem at all.
I think we both believe in pluralism, as in many of our viewers and listeners do too, as opposed to multiculturalism. Right. Yeah, everyone together under a British idea of freedoms and values.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can have many races, many faiths, but there has to be something that unites us together, a united set of values and so forth. And I say this, Johnny, I'm living among one of the oldest Muslim communities in Britain, and they've been here since before World War I, and they're very well integrated. And I think there's 2 reasons for that. One, they were small in number to begin with. And there's a limit to how many people you can assimilate at any one time. And secondly, they knew the deal at the time. You're welcome to come here. You're welcome to practice your faith, but you are expected to live according to Welsh and British laws and cultural norms. And here we are 4 or 5 generations in, and this is a well-integrated Muslim community. But something that's separate from what's going on here now with this these chalets. The Cardiff Council's being very virtuous about it. It's costing tens of millions of pounds. They're making a big thing. The whole site is net zero. They got the heat pumps. We got the solar panels. Well, they're all things I can't afford on my properties, you know, and most of the people listening go, I can't afford a BMW or a Jaguar or the sort of cars I see there. So what I'm getting at, and this is what Kevin and Isabel are working on, what really is going on that site? Now, we know the difference between an asylum seeker and a refugee. An asylum seeker is somebody who comes here. A refugee is somebody whose case has been processed. We're being told that this is for homeless people and for refugees. Well, for a start, 2-3 miles down the road at what used to be the Copthorne Hotel, it was in the late 80s, early 90s, at the height of luxury. They haven't decorated it for a long time. It's looking like a bit of an early 90s time warp there now. That's been full of migrants for well over a year.
Yeah, it's very, very disappointing, and it does upset society, and these things need to be tackled, and they're not being so. You went to the funeral this week of Terry Griffiths. We all remember him as the Llanelli postman who shocked the snooker world by winning the title from nowhere in 1979. We miss him.
Jonny, Terry Griffiths led an absolutely extraordinary life. I mean, he turned professional at the age of 30, a year before he won the world title in 1979.
Amazing.
Yeah, his funeral was absolutely packed the other day. We had Steve Davis, Dennis Taylor, Stephen Hendry, Mark Williams are all there to pay their respects. And Terry's story was one. He left school at 15. He used to get about 3:30 every morning to get a train to work a shift at a coal mine. First of all, he was above ground, removing the waste from coal coming up. Then he would go underground as he got a little bit older. There was some very big tragedies there. People lost their lives, some of his colleagues did. And then he would finish a shift at 3:30, go home, go to bed soon after, and then start again the next day. And as the years went on, he took jobs as a postman, an insurance salesman, a blacksmith's apprentice, and turned professional in 79. By that wonderful 1:50 a.m. finish in the semi-final against Eddie Charlton, David Vine put a microphone in front of him. Terry said, "I'm in the final now," in that accent of his. And that there was a huge humbleness about Terry Griffiths. It never went to his head. And he also gave something back. This is very important. He opened the Terry Griffiths Matchroom Club in Llanelli in the late 1980s. Have you lost my...
No, I'm still there, but we haven't got long, and it's a lovely story. And Marcus, time has beaten us, so thank you very much for paying that lovely tribute to Terry Griffiths. And he speaks of an age which I think still exists in snooker. It's still a lovely and popular sport. A very good morning to you. My name is Jonny Gould. This is Talk. And in the coming hour, we're going to talk to Cormac Smith about the terrible goings-on in Russia and Ukraine. And we're going to talk sport as well with Sam Sport Stevens.